By listening to this podcast, you agree not to use this podcast as therapeutic advice to treat any mental health condition in either yourself or others, including but not limited to clients that you are treating. On this journey, we discuss many different approaches, modalities, and helping services, none of which we guarantee will be the best or most ideal approach for you. Please research for yourself and consult with your physician, psychiatrist, or other mental health provider for any medical or mental health issues that you may be having. This podcast should not be used in any legal capacity whatsoever, including but not limited to establishing standard of care in a legal sense or as a basis for expert witness testimony. Privacy is of utmost importance to us. All people, places, and scenarios mentioned in the podcast have been changed to protect patient confidentiality. Views and opinions expressed in this podcast are our own and do not represent that of our places of work. While we make every effort to ensure that the information we are sharing is accurate, we welcome any comments, suggestions, or correction of errors. Topic that's kind of near and dear in my heart that I want to bring is psychedelic psychotherapy. So we're going to talk about kind of the past and kind of where it's at presently and how it's going to look like in the future, and just talk about how the therapy works and how it looks like. And I want to talk about my own personal experiences also with psychedelics, and has helped me to heal from a lot in my own life. And so I'll get personal in that in regards to my own psychedelic experiences and what traumas and the things I've been in my life that's helped me to heal from.
Vigorously. Let's do some self-checks real quick, though. Self-checks. How we doing, fellas?
We're doing good.
Yeah, doing all right.
2 weeks, since y'all was in our presence, since we all been in the presence of each other.
2 weeks,
it's been chill.
Like a long time.
It's been chill. Just, yeah. Well, the weekend was rough after getting my freaking car broken into, so that sucked.
Gotta get the e-bike, bro.
I know, right? Fuck a car.
There you go, bro.
Gotta get the e-bike, bro.
Get the
Take
e-bike,
Caltrain, bro.
man.
Take Caltrain to San Francisco.
Just walk my ass everywhere, dude.
Just walk your ass.
I have no transportation.
How we doing, Maya?
Calves of steel.
I'm just out here.
I like to be fucking strong.
Living life.
Living life. I saw you got a nice fresh cut.
Fresh
Looking
cut.
clean.
Man. Didn't know how we would end up here, but we did. We did. Took it out Friday, and then my braider said, hey, I'm not going to make it on Monday. I'm sick. Got a fucking interview on Wednesday. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? Telling Jeremy. And he's like, yo, cut that shit. I said,
Yo, no.
Nah. Yeah.
nah.
Let me see that fade. Let me see that
Let me
fade.
see, do me up.
Okay.
So the curls
Fresh.
are rocking. So we be out here.
Fresh to death. Fresh to
Thanks.
death.
Where you getting the interview
Got
at?
you. Kaiser.
Oh, Kaiser, okay.
Yeah, so we do it all here tomorrow at the house.
Damn.
Fresh to death.
Jay with a lineup.
Man,
Looking fresh. Looking fresh.
it don't clutch. I always come through, guys. I always come through.
You do.
If there's a will, there's a way, bro. Got it. Got this.
That's for sure.
Got this.
You know, because if I don't get this job, I don't know about therapy house no more. Can't quit my J job.
Nope.
We rooting for you, Maya. We rooting for you.
There you go.
Power up, brother.
There we go.
All therapy. We all growing out here, We're all not going to be in the same place.
I know.
And as far as like what we do, the versatility of our jobs. I was kind of thinking about that today, my wife Laura, she just got her master's in social work. So,
Nice.
congratulations, baby. If you listen to this,
4 months from now.
yeah, 4 months from now.
No, he's investing in points for later.
That's
Just
right.
in case.
Brownie points.
He's like, damn, I'm about to make her fucking pissed. But wait, the episode.
Episode 3 with Lou talking about
Yeah,
psychedelics.
yeah.
That's the way that I'm
Shout out
going to
my
get her to do it.
baby.
Shut up.
Baby.
I've already talked about it with you guys so many times today, but just for on the official recording, Rascal's dying.
Oh my God.
Oh. That's how I'm doing today. But
Watch, 4 months from now, he's going to listen to this and be like, you thought I was dying?
He thought I was dead.
You guys already talking about a new dog?
You talking about aquamation and shit? Like, what is that?
I just learned about aquamation today.
Yeah,
that's definitely another stage of life.
insane, dude. Aquamation.
You trying to do what to me? Turn me into Salt John?
Just
Fuck
dissolve that dog. It's just salt at the end, dude.
Yeah, essentially, with your salt,
No, but real talk, like it's good to see all my brothers
Yeah.
reunited in 2 weeks. It's been a rough ass weekend. I second that thought. But I'm here today. I'm present with you guys. Ready to talk about psychedelics.
Psychedelics. Yeah, man.
Psych.
Yeah, there's a lot of. Yeah, I can talk a lot about that all day talking about that. But yeah, today we're just going to talk about something that's something that's near and dear to my heart, and something that eventually will be working in also, and so we're going to be talking about just in a clinical sense and also in a personal sense of how psychedelics have impacted your life, and then also talk about the clinical side of the psychedelic research, since somewhat we're all in a clinical field, and psychedelics is becoming something that's growing in the research and all that, and especially in the mental health field, and so I think just for me, I think what for me, we're going to talk about like just how I'm getting into the psychedelic kind of research and therapy also, and how I got trained in that. I went to a program and got trained in for that, and talk a little bit about that in our episode, but and then what's grown with the growing research in it, and at my job, I'll be working in psychedelic, kind of the psychedelic research there, because we became through MAPS, it's called the Multidisciplinary Association of Psychedelic Studies. They've approved for my job to be a site to do the psychedelic research, specifically MDMA assisted psychotherapy. So,
well, just to preface it, I mean, you're certified in this, Lou, right? Out of all of us,
not certified yet, but I've been
you're
training it.
working towards your
towards that.
certification?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got that certificate in it, right?
Yeah, the certificate. Yeah, yeah. It was a program that was. When did I got it in 2018. Yeah, around March 2018, I started this program. Actually, it's one of I know MAPS. They do their own. Research, but also training also. But the program I went to was like the first one ever in the world, to be able to start training people in this.
In the world.
In the world. Yeah. So it was here in San Francisco. It's at this school called the, what is that? The CIIS. So it's, so it's a grad program there. They do a lot of the therapy there, training, counseling psychology, and other psychology fields and stuff there. So they have a specific program there that deals with psychedelic research and therapy. And so it was we do weekend programs. So it would just be one weekend we'll do a 3-day, all day thing. And there was 6 of those. And then in between those 6 weekend program weekends, they had a week-long retreat. And so this retreat was they invited this guy and his wife, and they've been doing the heading up in the MDMA research. And so they showed us all their real live videos of really the sessions with the MDMA, and showed us a lot of the clients and kind of the process of it and them going through that, And so it was pretty amazing to see that, because you just see within. Yeah, the research was about 3 to 4 months, and how these people's lives were transformed and changed by just doing this type of therapy, and
Right.
and the results they're showing is like there's no other therapy model out there that's like as effective in like working with trauma and also working with other stuff, depression, anxiety, and all that.
I'm really excited about the psychedelic research that's coming out about addictions. I know that you showed me a couple documentaries of that. We took a special SF trip one time for the Independent Movie House, and we saw that documentary of that lady that got off of, what was she on? Like heroin, right?
Yeah.
Heroin and then what's the medicine? What's the medication for that?
It was ayahuasca, right? Was it ayahuasca?
Methadone.
Oh, methadone. Okay, I'm sorry. No, that's
Yeah, so she was on heroin. Then she got
methadone, yeah.
clean through methadone, but obviously was addicted to methadone.
Yeah.
Total pharmaceutical scam. Just keeps people sick and addicted biologically.
Yeah.
But then she was finally kind of cured by taking shrooms, and that was starting to calm her down. And so then she went, I think as deep as ayahuasca.
Yeah, but it just started with shrooms, and being able to start healing and moving past her, her substance abuse. Yeah.
And then the psychedelics was actually no, it wasn't ayahuasca. It was ibogaine.
Ibogaine. That's
Ibogaine.
right, yeah.
That's the strongest psychedelic in the world.
Yeah,
It's from Africa.
that lasts like 24 hours. Yeah.
I just thought it was just rooms
Yeah.
out here, but that's all we- I don't
Ibogaine.
even know about that.
Ibogaine's a plant from Africa, and so it's like this plant that's like you just tripping balls for like 24 hours. You know what I mean? And so that's like a whole day. People are just like up tripping, but it's supposed to be like so transformative and so just getting to the core of so much of like people's suffering and pain. And so they're just like it's just this long process, and people are getting cured of their addictions through that.
Yeah. Like it actually got her off of methadone and heroin, like all that. Like it completely got her off.
Yeah.
But it's seen as an alternative practice because obviously psychedelics are taboo.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just about to say, like, why don't they teach this why is it in the curriculum, right? Because when we were in grad school, I don't remember actually learning too much about the psychedelic research and what the effects were. I think I remember it vaguely how it was considered, through the lens of the law, politically as well.
Yeah.
But
Western medicine and all that.
yeah. But I didn't really exactly. I knew that the research was there because I'm familiar with some of like the research that was done from more of like Timothy Leary back in the 60s and the 50s, and experimenting with acid and doing all that with
Ram Dass.
I mean,
Ram
if we're gonna
Dass, all
get
that,
like
yeah.
that's the whole thing, right? That's how it started. But like
Yeah.
it felt like it sort of like then just even back then, I mean, it was breakthrough research, but it just fell through, and it seems like it's coming back now.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a reemergence of it, and a lot of it was happening like during that time, like the Timothy Leary and Richard Alpert, which was Ram Dass and all those guys that were like doing the studies, and stuff, and then like during that time, they're in parallel, there was like the LSD research too, and that was going on, and the quick fact about that is like, was it Bill Wilson, the one that created the AA model? He we all know that he was an alcoholic. And so, but how he healed or how he got over his alcoholism was through LSD-assisted psychotherapy. And you could read the research and find that's how he was cured of his alcoholism. But so when he started the whole AA model, he wanted to incorporate that and like to be able to be like an intervention or a way to help. But, it was too taboo, you using a drug, to try to cure some other like substance abuse. And so that would have been just not what the model or wouldn't be as accepted.
Yeah. He had to like culturally make it so that like you're like underneath a higher power, right?
Yeah.
But like, he was referring to LSD.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Like-
so, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how psychedelics, like whether they're the shrooms that like it seems to calm people, and even microdosing like for creativity and shit like that, but just these super hardcore ones like ayahuasca bring you to this almost like complete rebirth and death cycle, right? Then you got this ibogaine, dude. What I saw in that lady on the documentary, like she was deep in the heroin and methadone like addiction, And like this lady, when she took the Ibogaine, that shit was a hardwire reset. Like I remember her recovery took 4 days, and she like went through all the stages. Like she got like was like super toddler, just sucking her thumb.
Talked about that.
Then she kind of like became more like grumpy, like a teenager, and then like she kind of like slowly became herself again over 4 days. But that's like a complete just reboot. That's how deep she went in the psychedelics. But nobody talks about this stuff.
A 4-day recovery? I don't know, my man. I mean,
but a 4-day recovery compared to a life on methadone?
Yeah.
Like,
Damn.
because I mean, if you're talking about recovery, you're talking about, like Lou said, you're using a drug to get you off another drug. It definitely gives me that scenario of like Talladega Nights where Ricky Bobby's in the chair and he's all, I'm going to get the knife out with another knife. And then not only do you have like your whole society and DARE program, which we had discussed, and this is the overall like drugs, and then there's gateway drugs. That's going to lead to other drugs.
So a lot of the access to these psychedelics is through like religious ceremonies and shit like that, and we got to take the cultural side part of it too, right?
But we get into Eastern medicine, right? That's more Eastern, like the spirituality and practices and rituals.
I think it's Eastern. I think part of it is also
I know Peruvian, South America,
probably like indigenous Mesoamerica. Even probably maybe even with like I know that in the Caribbean, a lot of like African American descent or Afro Caribbean is like santerismo, or like using chants or dance as a way of like eliciting a spirit, or creating
the spirit, just
and a lot of that is, homies were not sober doing that, like you were not like
this bitch telling the prophecy, like she's going through a trip.
Yeah.
And it's just that like you can't reach that state of mind with, like through the conscious, right? You have to kind of unlock an unconscious side of you, that sort of like primitive, or not that primitive, but that like that inner child that lives inside of us, that lives inside the unconscious for the most part, right?
Yeah.
It was just a crazy thing.
And then to put that into Western medicine, Western philosophy of healing and therapy and whatnot.
Well, it's also not just the how it was healed, in the Western medicine that was already had its taboo, but it was also the legal law too that like prevented a lot of it. Like the criminalization of these psychedelics is what did it in.
Yeah.
All this stuff was booming in the 60s, like.
Well, that's the thing. That's the shitty part, right? Because like we're reintegrating it back into society. We see the benefits. Clearly, there's research, and it's fascinating to hear how like you can sort of work through trauma and it be a remedy for you, and all of that could have easily been integrated before, but so much cultural things, right? So many things happening outside that it just continued to slow down this process, and but now we're here.
Yeah, and I think it has a lot to do with the kind of like you're talking about, John, the law, the legal side, of how much there was so much disinformation about these these psychedelics and drugs, and like. Yeah, I know. In like the 60s, that's where like during that time, then the hippie movement, 70s, and all that, and LSD was like hot, dude. And so a lot of those hippies were like taking that, and so yeah, some of them abused it, some of them didn't really use it for right purposes, but for the most part, you saw people like waking up. You saw people like really like freeing their minds from the time, of like during that time and period, like the Vietnam War, civil rights movement, like all that era. It was just like it was like almost like. People were waking up and seeing like this is all bullshit, dude. Like and so like they saw that as a threat. I think the government really saw that as a threat, that this drug is like waking people up. People don't want to go to war. People are like, dude, you guys, this war is whack, dude. We're not going.
Make love, not war.
Yeah,
dude,
and so
not war.
Yeah, so that's when they started really scheduling a lot of these psychedelic drugs, and just along the years. They kept adding them on. If you look on the schedule, there's a different schedule of drugs. They're like Schedule 1 drugs, Schedule 2. Schedule 1 is like where they deem it of like no medical purpose, no medical use, or it could be harmful or dangerous to you. And like
the Schedule 1, right?
Yeah, Schedule 1. And so you look at all there, cannabis is on there, and then you look at all the psychedelics are being used to treat for mental illness are on there.
Let's just take a hard fact. no human has died of a weed overdose, yet it's
Yeah.
a Schedule 1 drug. Like,
Oh,
you could overdose from artificial. I've heard that shit's like 102 times like more intense than just smoking flour.
Splice.
Oh, spice. Yeah, I think that's what you're talking about, spice.
Yeah, that shit you can overdose, but like smoking the actual like herb from the earth,
Yeah.
you can never die from that. And that's a Schedule 1 drug. You know, saying that you can't even study it. You know, it's like there's so many uses. From helping people with anorexia, helping with to get the munchies and they can eat again, helping all these different treatments, dude. Like going back to what we started with, 4 days of like that hardwire reset, definitely over the methadone. Like I just don't understand why we still put these drugs in these categories of Schedule 1 because of some criminalization of the government. When we know that this could help people. People who are stuck on methadone, they're on that stuff for like 10, 20 years or till they die. That is not a solution to if you are addicted to heroin. So there is genuine interest that we should know, hey, if this plant from Africa is curing motherfuckers in like a few days, 4 days, like, yo.
Yeah, why not? Let's try it.
It's not profitable, John.
It's not profitable, and that's the fucking thing.
And that's I would just want to add. I mean, I don't know much about the psychedelic area, but from just overall conversation and just like maybe a few documentaries or whatever, I think one big thing is like the war on drugs was a huge period where propaganda really blasted all drugs. Like whatever was on TV was all the negative shit that we seen. And those images of those people tripping out, like to us, that was like, yo, that person's like going
To our
through some
grandparents
shit, right?
and shit, like
So it's
that we're
like
seeing that.
when you see that on TV, you're like thinking all drugs are gonna give you that effect. And when people really don't take the time to learn about some things or do the information themselves, they're gonna believe what is being shown. And it's unfortunate that
Or they're going to get trapped in a system, that's going to keep them in that cycle.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunate that you have these drugs available to curb your addiction. But again, like I mentioned to John, like just a few seconds ago, profit isn't there. Like you said, methadone was just a temporary fix, and then that person was back on it. These FDA drug companies want to give you whatever they can give you just so you can make a buck, and it's kind of sad.
Shit, on top of the criminal justice system, how many can we cram you all in? The pipeline.
Yeah, dude. There's so many people in there, especially people of color, that like for non-offense, like non-violent, crimes, and a lot of them are just like drugs, and they're just in there for 10, 20 years for have a little bit of weed on them. You know what I mean? It's like that system we know is so corrupt, and then the war on drugs is is such a racist thing.
The new Jim Crow was what they called it, of sending people to jail. In terms of
we know there's
modern day slavery.
Yeah.
So Lou, I wanted to ask you because I've had a personal experience using psychedelics, only shrooms once, back in college, but it sounds like a lot of this shit is always like when we talk about drugs, it's like, well, you're doing it because you're fucking around, or like all this stuff. And when I use shrooms, it wasn't obviously in a therapeutic setting, right? I used it to fucking trip out with my boy. We didn't really know what to do.
We took way too much.
All right, he outed himself, so I didn't have to out him.
That story,
He outed himself, so I
story
didn't
was
have to out
crazy.
him. All right, so
Shit.
You guys,
That was a trip.
that was a trip, and I think looking back on it, I remember just like my buddy who ended up hooking us up with it, and I trust him to this day and everything. But I remember he did check up on us at one point, like through text message. But you and I just did it by ourselves, and in retrospect, I feel like we should have probably had somebody to fucking
Should have had some instructions.
We were tripping balls, like at one point, like everything started repeating itself. The same event began to just repeat itself. I'm sure that's a common
You guys must have took a
experience.
lot, dude. You guys must have took a hell of a lot, dude.
Oh
Damn, dude. You guys took a major dose for sure, dude.
See,
Dude,
now you got
I was
things.
seeing Egypt out here.
Oh
So
my
then-
gosh.
So then is the question, what's the
This
risk
was some
of
portals,
doing it on
bro.
your own, or
I think the question
started seeing
is
some
like,
portals.
how do you guide a person, right? Because like I'm imagining this client, this person in the research that had this 4-day intervention, right? John saying that she was in a fucking childlike, infant-like state, right? Then she was in a teenager state. Like, are you just gonna do that by yourself? You know, are you just gonna go through that by yourself, or is somebody gonna be there with you, right? In
Yeah.
therapy, we always
or
talk
do you
about the
need
alliance.
do you need somebody there with you?
Yeah,
Do you
well,
need the religious ceremony?
Yeah, I don't think you need the religious ceremony, but you know, like answering your question, you know, when a person is there, you know, in like what the research is showing, or the research kind of the therapy model, how it's going to look like, a person that's going through the trip or going through that on an MDMA or whatever psychedelic they're studying right now, they're going to have at least 2 therapists there. So what the research is showing, they're going to have like a co-therapist, a male and female. And so during that whole time, you know, they're there. And a lot of the time it's just sitting with them, you know what I mean? Because it's not, you know, sometimes, you know, individuals when they're in their trip, it's like, you know, they react differently. Some people are inward the whole time, you know, and they really don't show a lot of emotion on the outside. So, but there's individuals that get really have a, you know, just this reaction to it, and a lot of it's external, and whether they'll be like crying or, you know, screaming or, you know, just talking the whole time. You know, there's people have different their reaction, their process is different. So as a sitter, you're kind of just there to just really support, and if they need you at that moment to like take, you know, hey, like, you know, I need to hold on to your hand, or hey, I need you to like put your hand on my heart right now, or, you know, and all that. So like you're kind of there, and then maybe you'll talk through them, you know, a little bit, but a lot of it is just kind of sitting there and just being as a presence, you know, a supportive presence. And, you know, so after that, it's kind of like they do like individual therapy sessions. So the way they call them, the integration sessions. And so whatever they got the first dose, because what the research is showing, you have to do like 3 or 4 doses that you take. And so, and they're all spread out like monthly. So you have 1 dose 1 month, and then you do like the 4 weeks of the individual sessions, and then do another dose, and then, you know, so on and so on. So, so whatever they're getting out of the trip in the moment, they kind of integrate it and talk about it in their individual sessions, and how it's related, or what was their insights about their trauma during the time under the trip. So, you know, so there is, you're not
There's
on
like
your
a
own.
huge intention about it, right?
Yeah.
Like you're trying to get it you're trying to face that trauma.
Yeah.
By
So-
eliciting it.
Yeah, and so and that's, you know, that's why you're coming in therapy, and your model, or the therapy model, working with trauma. But
You're basically going through a psychedelic experience. So you're like changing the perspective in which you see it.
oh yeah, and it's just, and I think we're looking at the brain science and the brain research around that. Like there is, you know, there's parts of our brain, you know, we know, like the fear center of our brain, the amygdala, and they're showing that whenever, you know, when someone's activated in their trauma, that is so lit up, you know. And so what the research is showing with MDMA is that when a person takes that part of the brain that's activated when they're thinking about the trauma, really it just shuts off. And so it kind of shuts off that fear center of the brain and lights more of up in your frontal neocortex. It lights up more. And so what it's saying is like that people are able to like process their trauma and be able to talk about it in a safe manner, because they're not scared. They're not feeling all those like trauma symptoms of like fear and hypervigilance, and the fight or flight response is on. That thing is it's shut off. And so so that's what the research is showing, how MDMA helps people. And basically the kind of the catalyst or the mechanism of change is the safety of feeling safe to be able to talk about your trauma and learn new information, and to adapt to new information in regards to your trauma. You get a new narrative about it. You're gonna kind of get a different perception on it, and being able to like move forward through it, you know?
Okay, absolutely, man. I mean, that's essentially what therapy is, right? Like you try to, as a clinician who's whose practice is trauma-informed care, right? Understanding that that's where you first have to establish safety, right? First, it's like physical safety, emotional safety. If you don't have any of that, you can't process, you can't further function around that. So that this opportunity to experience MDMA, in a way that can, kind of just like facilitate that and know that you can just like have that have that response in the moment. I mean, it's wild. It's a wild factor, that as a therapist, like that, sometimes it takes us years to be able to shut that off, for somebody, it's not going to happen on the first time, but like it takes a really long time to process trauma.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And this is therapy model showing that the people are being cured or no longer meet criteria for PTSD, within months, 4 months to up to a year, where they're showing that they no longer suffering from PTSD. There's no other therapy model that's showing those results,
At the same time, you're saying this is not just they're taking the LSD and they're solved. Like, you actually have a therapeutic approach, while others feel like, or could just or feel like this is just, I'm gonna take this weed and then boom, it's gonna solve me. Like,
of course,
no, it's not. No, there's a structure, consistent structure with it.
Yeah, there's structure to it, and and I think what happens a lot when when you do psychedelics, it's like it's a very mind opening and mind altering, and you're able to see like your own bullshit in a different perspective at those times, and a lot of people have those insights. They're able to see like what they need to work on, or like, what is my bullshit? This is like, why am I acting like this? Why am I thinking like this? Why am I being like this? And you have those deep moments where you're able to be introspective in those moments. But the problem is a lot of people have those, but there's no change because they're not integrating what they learned and what they learned through that psychedelic trip or psychedelic experience. And so the most important thing out of this therapy is integrating what the experience and what you got out of it, the insight, and being able to like, all right, it's not about the experience. It's about like what was the information given to me in that moment, and what do I need to do to change? And so it's like a daily thing. It's like you have to continue on and remember, like, this is what I got out of it, so I need to change this. I need to change my behavior. But a lot of people don't get to that point. They just have the experience, but it's like there's no really true change. And so this therapy model kind of gives you that, because you have the trip, but then you have the integration, you have the therapy, and you're able to talk about it and really figure out, okay, how can I change this? What can I do to improve in this area?
I think the structure side of it is really needed in the recovery process.
Yeah.
I think in any other, I'm not too familiar in your clinician talk, but in just like in terms of like the clients that I see and how I've like just kind of pulled information out of them, I see a lot of like carelessness of, you might have, your therapist, or you might have X, Y, and Z who's giving you whatever prescription, and you just go home and take it. But without the structure piece, I feel like they have more opportunity to go off the rails again. Or that negative influence from external areas.
Yeah.
And I think, I wasn't sure, but I wasn't, in terms of like the therapeutic process at where you work at, the two sitters, right?
Yeah.
Obviously they're observing the behavior.
Yeah.
But are these people, clients, are they strapped in? Are they like just sitting there?
Yeah. Like what? Well, there's going to be different like.
Got the straitjacket on,
Well, I don't know, because I've never taken a psychedelic.
No.
The only thing I've seen is shrooms, and it was in a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Like one of my ex-football homies like did it, and I was oh shit, but I'm not gonna try it. That's just my closest experience to that. But I just wasn't like what that setting might look like, because I remember John was saying, like, it depends. If you go on this trip, you have to be in a calm setting, because you can have a negative side of it, right?
Yeah.
And so I wasn't sure if, like, if a person is thinking if their stress level is down, does that automatically put them in a calm setting because of the environment? Are they strapped in, or are they gonna feel like you just like fight their way out of things?
That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point you brought up, because it's about set and setting. You know what I mean? And that's what they call set and setting. So set is like your intention of what you're going into the experience. Like what's your intention? What's the purpose of going in? And also setting, it's all, where you're at, your environment, who you're with, and all that creates really can create a transformative experience through psychedelics. And so in the like you're talking about, like the therapy room is going to be as comfortable as it can be. It'll be like soft colors and like, flowers and kind of like maybe some sunlight, more like sunlit kind of room, and, and just, a comfortable couch and, candles going on. So you just want to make it as comfortable and as safe as it can be.
It's so chill.
So in that moment, so they're able to like just relax and know like, okay, I'm in a safe space, and, like I'm okay, and then the therapists are there that, that you're building rapport and you're trusting them, and, and you're kind and, and kind people to be there and with. And so that person's able to feel safe and be able to really kind of let go, So if you're that's where a lot of people get bad trips in like different places, because like at concerts or like festivals where you're just taking hella drugs, and you're just in this unsafe environment because you don't know anyone there, and it's just loud and a lot of stimuli. And so that doesn't create like a good experience, And so that's why they tell you, if you're going to do psychedelic, go out into nature, go out in somewhere where, that's like relaxing and, and calm, because that can make your experience like better. You're not going to do like freaking acid at Disneyland, because you're gonna fucking trip out, dude. You're not gonna do that, because it's just
Mickey Mouse gonna be.
I'm sure a lot of people have done that, but it's just that's just not the best place to do that. But it's all so the therapy room is a very just comfortable space, and that's what makes the experience just makes them great for them.
Thanks again, everybody, for tuning into Therapy House. Here to remind you to check out our Linktree at Linktree/therapy_house. There you can find all the links for our podcast website, the different platforms that we are broadcasting on, individual links to our personal pages. Like, comment, rate, and review our podcast so that we can grow. And of course, subscribe so that you'll be the first to know when we drop something new. Until then, we'll see you next time.